You know when the teacher like calls on somebody to read and you're like, "I'll read," and it's like that one kid in class that everyone's like, "Please, not him." That was me. That was me. You guys wanna read a story from with me? Hold on. Last October, when Riot Games announced a slate of new titles, one of the outliers was Project A, a first-person shooter that combines the popular hero-based shooter genre with tactical gameplay. We now know Project A is officially called Valorant, and we will launch on PC this summer as a free-to-play title. I traveled to Santa Monica, California to spend a day in the office of Riot Games to not only learn about the upcoming shooter from all angles, but also play it for several hours. Telling the tale. While most of the game revealed during Riot's 10-year anniversary stream are set in the League of Legends universe, Valorant is unique in that it does not feature any connection to Riot's Juggernaut IP. Instead, Valorant takes place on a version of Earth in the near future following an event known as the First Light. This event spans the entire globe, leading to big transformations in life, technology, and how governments operate. However, select people across the globe start to gain abilities stemming from the massive event. These gifted individuals are called Radiants. So we've been calling them agents, but they're actually called Radiants, okay? We're going to continue. In response to First Light, a shadow organization founds the Valorant Protocol, which pulls together agents from all over the world. These agents consist of Radiants and other individuals equipped with Radiant technology. So would that be people like Viper? I'm assuming that's people like Viper. People like Viper and probably people like Brimstone, because he doesn't do anything like crazy, right? Due to backstories of these characters, the Valorant team features interesting dynamics. Hold on, we gotta turn the page. As individuals not only sometimes know each other, but they also come from a wide spectrum of backgrounds ranging from crime to military. Despite this intriguing setup to the universe, the development team wants to be subtle in the way it approaches storytelling. I'm bad at reading, sorry. I was like the kid in class where like I would read things and people would be like, "Oh, can this guy stop reading?" But I would try. I would try really hard, dude, okay? Anyway, keep moving. You know when the teacher like calls on somebody to read and you're like, "I'll read," and it's like that one kid in class that everyone's like, "Please, not him." That was me. That was me. Tactical. God damn it. Case in point. Tactical inspirations. When you think of the hero-based shooting games, names like Overwatch and Team Fortress 2 likely pop into your head. With Valorant, Riot acknowledges these successful titles through the character's appearance and abilities, but instead draws heavier inspiration from games like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Rainbow Six Siege, and Crossfire. The only mode in Valorant at the moment revolves around one team defending multiple points from an attacking team trying to plant and detonate an explosive spike. If the 100-second round timer expires or the spike is defused after being planted, the defending team gets a point. While a successful detonation earns the attacking squad a point, with the first team to win the best of 24 rounds getting the victory. Either team can also take a round by wiping the other team out. The other thing that was important for this game was having incredibly high stakes, executive producer Anna Donlin says. You definitely get those moments for feeling like you're the last player standing and you've got to pull it off without any of your teammates with you. Or even worse, you're the first one dead and having to watch your team try to pull it off without you. That's worse. That's not a good feeling. Riot worked to create a game where team play is not just encouraged, it's all but essential. Playing as a lone wolf or performing a clutch play isn't impossible, but it's certainly more difficult than games where characters are more like bullet sponges. Valorant doesn't force you to play as a team, but it makes players want to since it's the easiest path to victory. Between rounds, you enter a buy phase. This time, any money you saved last round carries over, and the additions granted based on the performance. Currently, you get 3,000 for a win, varying amounts ranging from 1,900 to 2,900, depending on how many rounds you've lost in a row. 200 for each kill, and 300 if the team planted a spike in the previous round. That's the same as Counter-Strike, the 300 for the plant. I decided to stop messing around with a weak default pistol and upgrade to a nice automatic rifle, as well as a shock bolt for Sova's bow. Ooh, look at these upgrades here. As the round starts, we rush to point A once again, but it would appear that we're not the only ones more well-equipped this round. I am immediately sniped, leaving my team man down for the rest of the round. Gosh darn it, Sova. Thankfully, the other people on my team aren't playing the game for the first time, and they managed to turn it around and plant the spike with one enemy remaining. That last remaining enemy makes the strategic call to hightail it out of there. If you survive a round, your weapon carries into the next round, so you can save money and still have a good weapon. Because we have won the round, I still get a good amount of cash, which I used to purchase the Guardian, a semi-automatic rifle with a restricted timer, confined maps, and quick kills rounds breeze by. However, due to a high round count consisting of a best of 24 format, Matches take a considerable amount of time as we approach the final round by phase. Before halftime, the characters remark that we lose all of our money after this round. So our team splurges on the heavy machine gun Odin. We all equip Odin and the heavy shields on the rush point B. They all bought negatives. That's what they did. They all bought negatives and rushed to site. That's funny. So you lose all of your money at the end of the half too. So that's interesting. The build I played on only featured 2 maps and approach from the tactical multiplayer level design in unique ways. Bind, the map described above, demonstrates what happens if you remove the middle lane and add teleporters. Haven, the second map I played, shows the opposite of what happens when there's not only a middle lane, but it's super important because there's objective on it. The result is even more splintering of a team on the defense and a more traditional flow between points since there are more paths and no teleporters. There's 5 lanes of the map Haven, so that's what people are kind of worried about. With Valorant, Riot is helping to explore new ways to present maps in the online shooter space. We always start out with the question of what can we do to push this map into a different direction than that could create new playstyles and strategies for players. So they don't want to just do like the same like 3-way in map where like all the maps in CS like they're different, but they feel very similar still sometimes. Where like they in Valorant they want to have something unique about the maps. It seems like. So they do that with the teleporters. They do that with 3 bomb sites on the map, you know, similar ways like that. I'm excited to see what the other 2 maps are. Apparently there's going to be 4 on release. When Valorant launches, it will feature 4 maps, including the 2 I played. The team is still figuring out the cadence at which it will release future maps and characters for that matter, but Riot insists on its service, both producing high-quality maps and making sure players can learn the smaller, stable maps and characters without feeling overwhelmed. We want to hit a certain quality bar on all of our maps, and we also know having all these different agents on top of maps means there's a lot there for people to explore and master. It can be overwhelming if there's too many maps. We just want to be mindful in finding the right balance there. One of the biggest pushes for Riot is making with Valorant is giving everyone an equal chance of success so that players are excelling based on skill rather than the gaming system. One key component that the initiative of Riot Direct, a global network started by Riot in 2014, that features points of presence for gamers to lower their ping by choosing the most efficient routes for the players' data through the ISP networks. So they're just trying to reduce people's ping to even the playing field for players. At launch, Riot is aiming to give at least 70% of the players less than 35 millisecond ping and host all games on a dedicated 128-tick server. This is like the big thing that they're boasting. People are kind of really looking forward to this. So, not only that, but all the players' movement is unsampled to the 128 frames per second to compensate for lag. If if an enemy player is lagging due to poor connectivity, their movement will still appear smooth on your screen. These advancements hope to solve problems. How does that work? So if a player is lagging on their screen, they're not going to be rubber banding all over the place. They're still going to be moving smoothly on yours. That's interesting. I wonder if like they'll run off into like random places and run into walls and stuff. Additionally, Riot is working on an innovative ways to counteract cheaters and hackers in Valorant. Cheating is the most direct threat to a competitive integrity that an online game can face. They said this in a lot of their interviews, where cheating, if you encounter somebody who's cheating, you can never really be sure if like, okay, did I lose that because I'm bad, or did I lose that because they're literally like they're cheating. This is our boy, Arkham, talking about this. We want players to play this game for a long time. We want them to invest in getting good at the game. We made the game so there's lots of different ways that we can invest your time to get better in the game. But no one's going to want to do that if all you're going to be is overshadowed by somebody who's cheating. This is 100% true. If you play games where they have cheaters, like take a game for like Rust, for example, right? If I'm going against somebody who's cheating in Rust and they kill me by like flying all over the place and then they like steal all my loot, it's like, what did I just work for? I put in all this work so I could just have some cheater like come in and like ruin the game for me. It's just not fun. And obviously the games are less extreme, but there's so many cheaters on Rust. There were, and it completely ruins the game. I don't want to play a game like Rust if I'm going to just have all my fun ruined by cheaters. It's not worth it, right? The efforts begin with Riot's Vanguard cheat detection system used in League of Legends. This proprietary system detects cheaters using a living list of detection methods that instantly ends games when cheaters are found and bans the cheater. In addition, all Valorant matches are server authoritative, meaning that players can't trick the server with things like speed or teleportation hacks. Finally, Riot is instituting a new fog of war system to battle wall hacks. This system emits enemy locations on players' systems until just before they enter each other's line of sights. That's interesting. So that player doesn't exist on my screen until they are actually in the, like, I'm about to see them. I wonder how that functions. I wonder if there's a way to abuse that more particularly. I think League has good anti-cheats. Yeah, I rarely encounter cheaters in League. So the thing that I think that's really interesting in League of Legends too, the way that they do it, is that they tweak it. they tweak characters so that even if you do cheat, it's not that big of a deal. So like they'll add delays on abilities and stuff like that, so you can't cast them too fast. Or they'll make it easier for you to use your abilities on a target, or like even things like Vi's like ultimate, which is a point and click. If somebody's cheating, it doesn't matter. You could still just kill them. Like they can't dodge your ability. So some abilities like that kind of deal with it, but. While Riot has shown a commitment to using technically proficient methods to combat common problems for online shooters, the studio says that players don't need to be a high-tech to enjoy Valorant. Riot plans on rewarding players who have access to powerful machines that have a GTX 1050 Ti or a newer by delivering 144 frames per second or even better. But the studio says players can get 30 frames per second on a machine with an Intel i3 or Intel HD 3000 GPU. Obviously, better machines will provide better experiences and in turn potentially give competitive edges to those players, but Riot is working in design ways to give players with lower tech setups all the help they need to diagnose the problem. In an effort of competitive integrity, we don't want any of the 9 players to compromise or ruin your experience. We want to guarantee that fairness for you so that you can set a standard high so people are going to be excited and willing to invest in the long term. They're willing to invest in the long term because we feel that they will get a fair, true shot. That's what David Straley says. The downside is we put more pain on the player with a bad setup, so that player that's popping, I'm willing to actually compromise that player's position instead of making a bad experience for the other 9. I think that's fair though. If you're having trouble with your system, I don't think the other 9 players should suffer because of that. Somebody was telling me, I think Waffles was telling me that on Apex it takes the player with the worst ping in the game and it arranges it around that. Why? Well, it's just because some dude's playing the game on US servers in Australia. Why do I have to suffer because of that? You know, stuff like that. I don't know. We're creating lots of tools and debugging for that player with a bad experience to say, hey, we think your ISP is screwing you over. We think your computer's not good enough. We think maybe your router's too old. And give that player the tools to understand why their setup is so bad so they can fix it to make themselves in a better state. We want to put you in the driver's seat so that you can fix it with your own tools or means and then make sure everyone else is a non-issue. That's really cool. So they're going to take the player, and even if you have a bad setup, you're not just like left. So like for me, for example, I'm playing a game like Warzones. I don't know what the problem with my PC is. I have no idea. Riot's going to try to take a player, be like, hey, your internet sucks. That's the problem. This is what you should look into fixing. Or, hey, your graphics card is like really holding you back. Like maybe you should look into fixing that. And they'll like kind of guide you through it. But while they're doing this, they're not crippling the other 9 players that you play with. That's really cool. A push towards launch. We're at the last paragraph. We're getting there. Through this is the first real information released about Valorant since it's an announcement as Project A last October. Fans don't have a long wait before they can get their hands on Riot's new shooter. Riot tells me it's currently targeting a summer launch with a pre-launch closed beta test coming prior to that. While 12 heroes and 4 maps might not sound like a lot, Riot is committed to supporting Valorant over the course of several years, just as it has done with League of Legends. With the minimal cost of entry, unique twists on a familiar gameplay, and a massive built-in fan base, for the developers, the sky is the limit for Valorant. It will be interesting to see how players embrace Riot's attempt at stepping into an already crowded genre, but as it stands, Valorant is off to a great start. Riot Games is stepping right in, dude. It's so disappointing to see big game companies leave mid to low tier PCs in the dust, right? Like, it just feel like in the name of, oh, we gotta have the best graphics of the game. Like, I'm here for the competitive joy of playing the game, right?